Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up discussion today. We've got ETH moving higher, up almost 7% as rate cuts are anticipated at today's FOMC. We've got Elon Musk's SpaceX seeking a $1.5 trillion IPO next year, and silver is reaching new all-time highs over $60. Also want to discuss the variety of ICOs that are coming to the market. A flurry announced in the last 24 hours. So we'll do a bit of a deep dive into each one and have a little look, see what we think is decent value, what kind of things are being shared. So stay tuned for that. Delighted to say I've got Brett in the co-host seat with me today. We're ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is very, very risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please, as always, proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Brett, it is Wednesday. It's the 10th of December. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Good morning, America, and the rest of the world, because you guys are everywhere else. But it's morning for us. You guys are in the afternoon. Doesn't count. Things are good. Yeah, we're rocketing through the last few days. Things are just still so heavy on my side for the mega shit. Like, as you guys know, we're like right on the cusp. We just announced Frontier on Monday after our last show. So, or not, didn't announce it. Everyone knew about it, but like next Monday is when we open up to other builders to get into the ecosystem, start deploying, start doing stuff. So for me, it's making sure that everyone is best positioned to actually do that, and then work on some other announcements we have this week, just like get things going. But it's been a heavy plate. If that's a saying, I think I just made that up.
A heavy plate. Is this a dinner plate, a gym plate? What plate are you talking about here?
I think what my brain just did is there's a full plate, which is normal. It's a full plate, and then it's a heavy lift. And it's a heavy lift to like do all of this stuff. But here we're doing a heavy plate, which is a full gym plate.
I think it's a combination of two. I think you are full in terms of on the meal side. So that's what you're also thinking. You're you don't have much appetite for new things because you're very satiated. And yet
I don't like this talk because I feel fat. I actually feel fat in real life these days. So I'm just gonna like you're bringing out demons in me right now. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go with the gym analogy.
We'll do that one
instead. Then, you know, before we get into the main stuff, bro, you know what? I had to do a little chat GPT today in the gym because I've never been a big. Well, I do a lot of the gym, but on the lower side of things, on the leg side of things, never like loved it that much. So I'm not an expert. Had to chat GPT. Should I be like, I was trying to understand how much more I should be deadlifting than I should be squatting. I know you are a little bit of an expert in this region. What do we need to know about the deadlift versus squat ratio in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the ratio of like what's considered good for everything, and you should be able to bench your body weight. So like it's just a multiple of 1, right? So if your bench is 1 with your body weight, you're good. Squat, if you can do a parallel squat at like a 1.5 your body weight, that's impressive. And then deadlift, I think it was like 175 upwards of 2. That was like usually the ratios that you would look for to like know that you're doing okay.
Good ratios. That's what I needed to know, to be honest. I think I am succeeding on the bench, but not necessarily on the others. So I'm working on it. Right. We got a lot of stuff today. Apologies for a little bit of technical issues and getting the show started. We're here now. We're ready to go. We got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. So let's get into it. Starting with the price action as usual. We're looking at Bitcoin, which is at just up a couple of percent to 92K. We've got ETH surging up 6% to 3.3. And we've got XRP flat around $2. We've got BNB flat around $885. We have Solana up 3% to 137. We also have Hyperliquid up 3% to 28, still beneath 30, down 14% on the week. So still hit pretty hard, harder than everything else, but also enjoying this bit of a bounce here. On the meme coin side of things, we've got Pengu up 5%. We've got Pippin up 84%. I'm not sure why that has moved so aggressively. Got Dog with Hat up 5%. We've got Pepe up 2, Pengu up 5, SPX up 2, Sadcoin up 21. I'm not sure what's going on there. Fartcoin's actually down 1%. And Rect is up 10. So Rect is up 10 again after some big collaboration news. Getting into the headlines themselves and what we will be discussing today in the main part of the show and kind of around some general discussion. We've got ETH moving higher. As you said, Elon Musk's SpaceX seeks a $1.5 trillion IPO next year. Got some interesting data to share on some of the other space-related coins which have started moving. I'm just wondering if that's where you want to participate, if you want to put on some interesting risk. Silver reaches a new all-time high too, so we'll just touch on that. Although maybe part of the bigger conversation today, what I want to do, as I describe some of the rest of the roundup, is touch on some of these ICOs. We've got Rainbow Wallet announcing an ICO on CoinList. We've got Daylight Energy announcing a stablecoin Predeposit to go live next week on Plasma. So not an ICO, but going after your stablecoins to increase their TVL and earn their points and earn a bit of yield. You've got Fogo Chain announcing an ICO with 2% of the supply on sale. And was there another one? Privacy-focused chain Octra announces an ICO at 250 mil FDV on Sonar. So all of these in the last 24 hours, all of them launching next week. Where are you going to put your money, if anywhere? I definitely think, given the volume, that requires a bit more of a deeper conversation today. So we'll talk about that. And then just to touch on the other things I think is helpful to know, we talked about Beeple's Rare Animals yesterday, trading around $30,000. They actually had a big dip. They went down to as low as around 5 ETH, and then they've pushed back up to above 7 ETH now. So that's on the Beeple side. On the art side, in terms of the other news, Vivek Ramaswamy's Strive seeks $500 million ATM for more Bitcoin purchases. Jeff from Hyperliquid responded to some recent auto deleveraging FUD. Wet launched at a 150 mil valuation and rose to almost 300. I think they struggled with the launch. It got botted the first time. They tried again the second time, still didn't really work. But the token has gone up since, so maybe that's good. 21 Capital debuts on NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, slides down to trade around $12 though, as it did. Remember, that's one of the biggest Bitcoin DATs led by Jack Mallers with a big Tether investment. Polymarket was accused of double counting volume by Paradigm, leading to inflated numbers. Meteora announced upgrades to the DLMM with limit orders and auto vaults where you can auto compound fees. Stripe's Tempo blockchain announces testnet has gone live. And that is okay. One final thing. Doodle's 25K collection of Doopies public mint is now live, but only 12% of the public allocation at 3 Sol is sold, and only 27% of the 20K supply was sold at 1 Sol. So it was a bit of a split allocation here. So, not enough demand there for the price and supply of the Doodles 25K collection. That is the roundup, guys. We've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today. We will get into the ICOs, the headlines, FOMC, ETH, SpaceX, and those things in a bit. But Brett, just coming to you first, before we get into that main stuff, what is catching your attention today?
I'm going to walk you guys through a flow that I just had. So like when people started hitting me up inside of the Modern Market Telegram chat talking about weightlifting and PRs and like what they just started. So I gave them there's a calculator in there. It's called a Wilks score. It's kind of like how all the powerlifters measure themselves. So you can kind of get your idea of like your body weight to ratio to see like what's going on with your, like if you're novice, if you're intermediate, if you're elite, whatever. So like that's it for you bros. And then I was like, okay, I want to actually look up this stuff for, I want to follow you along on your post. So I just Googled BCheck1X. And you know what post it brought up for me? A year ago, you posted about the deadlift ETF, which is that was the #1 post. And it was about the CEOs that deadlift are like outperforming the S&P 500. So a lot of confluence this morning around weightlifting. People get to the gym. This is a message to myself too. We need to get out there and get strong because it makes us all good. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, a few things that stand out to me. So you actually didn't even mention all the IPOs, because I was tagged by a lot of people in an IPO, or not IPO, but like a ICO sale, whatever. I don't even know which one this actually qualifies as, where a team literally just copied Maggie's thing, like one for one. It is 100% like you do. It starts at 1 million, goes to 1 billion. If you lock up, you get a 10% discount, like identical. And everyone was ragging on them and tagging me. It's like, yes, we're in full ICO, like fork scam window right now.
I mean, I guess this is public, right? So who is it? Who do we?
Yeah, it was like I'll have to go dig through my notifications. It was something that I'd never heard of. It was some AI Jensen, I think it was what it was called.
Okay. Well, to be fair, maybe if it is literally a scam thing that's copied your thing, we shouldn't give it airtime then. But I mean, to be fair, we don't know.
It may not be a scam. Like, I mean, maybe
not,
they just thought it was good.
Yeah.
You know, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, right?
Yeah,
Thanks,
mean,
bros.
that's definitely the case.
Yep. Okay, so going through some of the things that kind of caught my eye, Rainbow Wallet, like I'm very interested in that because I'm still like a top 100 points holder from that effing thing like 3 years ago. So we'll see if that materializes into anything. I did think it was interesting because I've had them on notifications for that long, because I'm like, I have your points, give me my token, bro. And they actually did a decent, like an interesting structure with their ICO. So I don't know if you actually saw it, but what they're actually doing is, and I'm gonna mess this up, but like I'm gonna try to articulate it as best I can. So they created their foundation. They gave 20% of the token supply to the foundation. I think it was like roughly 20%. And then the foundation is actually creating a new class of shares specifically for what this 20% of the supply is going to represent. And it gives the token holders the ability to, or it gives them like governance rights, not governance rights, but like ownership rights of, if the foundation winds down, then this specific class of shares, which is designated only to token holders, gets to reclaim all the value that is like left from the rest of the foundation. So like they actually do get a little bit of power in the structure that they did. It's called Class F shares. They created it specifically for that. It was just something that was interesting. So I think it was worth noting. The FOGO thing obviously has been going crazy. I saw a lot of FUD on that where they didn't actually mention the FDV. They just said like 2% of supply and we're selling it, but no one knows the valuation. They didn't disclose it. I didn't actually
I think someone associated with the team quote tweeted
Robert,
it.
maybe.
You know, more details come soon.
Okay, cool.
Which is essential if anyone is in any doubt.
Yeah, very much so. Even we would say, but I do know, like, you know, I know the team. I know there's a lot of back and forth between them and Solana because Solana perceives them as parasitic. So FOGO, if anyone has heard or seen them, it is, everyone understands Fire Dancer is the thing that's been talking about for Solana for years at this point, right? Like literally 3 to 5 years at this point. Fire Dancer is a Solana client, which is supposed to be uber performant. Right? Like, oh my God, we tested in a local thing with 100 nodes and did 1 million TPS, like easily geo-distributed all this stuff. So they've been bull posting it for a very long time that once this thing comes, like it will change the fabric of society, right? And the problem is that once that comes, you still have to convince all of the validators that make up the Solana network to switch over to it. You need to say, hey, change your client to this thing. Like it's just like you're frankly just never going to get the people to do that in any meaningful amount. And so FOGO said, okay, well, fuck it. We'll just create a new network that is Solana. And we just say, we mandate that you have to use Fire Dancer. Like that's the only client that we support. So that means day 0, you'll come live. It'll be all this new Giga stuff that will make everyone fancy. So because of that, there's a lot of push and pull between Solana and FOGO, a lot of baiting, just so in the same way that Base and Solana have been fighting on the timeline recently. And yeah, I know the team. They're interesting. I think they're thinking about stuff the right way, but it's going to be a tough road to hoe. I'm gonna be watching it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Interesting. Okay, so that's FOGO, and that's one where we do not know the valuation. So as I said on the top of the show, I think this absolute flurry of ICOs means we definitely need to talk about them. It might be helpful even just to go through them a little bit and share some thoughts like you just did. We'll get to the headlines in a bit, of course, in a second, but I think we can park the other bits of news and let's just get right into it because, so you were talking about FOGO there. No valuation. You explained a little bit about what it was. Everything will be determined by the valuation, I guess, right? So we'll take a look at that when it comes out in a bit more detail. I'm just going to share this one in the chat here, Max, if we can bring this one up. So Brad, you mentioned Rainbow as well, which is the wallet which you are a top points holder for. And it's a pretty good wallet. I played around with it a little bit. I probably still prefer Rabby. And it's not one of my main wallets now, but they announced their coin list ICO, and these were the details. So the details are these. They share the most beloved and user-friendly wallet in crypto is launching its Rainbow sale on CoinList. It's a 100 mil FDV, which is a 33% discount to the last round. It is available to US participants. The sale opens December the 11th. That's actually tomorrow. Okay, so this one's open tomorrow. And this little visual that you can click on, Max, is going to share what it is. So we've got vesting is 100% unlock. Okay, so you'd be fully liquid. 100% unlock 1 year after. Oh, for US participants, remember, always US participants will be liquid one year after TG. So for everyone else, it's 100% unlock. For US participants, 100% unlock after 1 year. And that's 3% of the token supply. Minimum purchase is $100. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. Brad, do you have a thought on valuations here? Do you think that is reasonable? I don't think we have a good comp. I think there are some wallet tokens out there, but none of the main wallets have one yet, right? Like Rabby doesn't have one, MetaMask doesn't have one. Magic Eden as a wallet, it does. I mean, Magic Eden have a token, but it's not necessarily got anything to do with the wallet. Do you have a view on wallet tokens?
I really don't. And most of it is just because it's super, super opaque for like what they're earning, right? So we're entering into this meta where we're entering into the phase of crypto where we know how much these fucking things are making, right? And like how much of that stuff is going back to the token, what the token represents. Like, I don't know, maybe we're actually critically looking at what these things are. And to do that, you need information. And to my knowledge, the only one that we have any kind of visibility into and can like track some revenue numbers is Phantom. And like they're the kings of the castle. I think you could probably track a little bit of the MetaMask swap. And maybe this is going to inspire me to look at some Dune dashboards to see if we have any kind of reliable data. It's just, to me, it's fairly opaque, and there's no like one-stop shop to say like, oh, this wallet is making 100 million a year, which would help me value everything else.
Okay. I think that's fair.
I'm bullish on them owning the users though. That's like we do.
That's why Farcast is pivoting to be a wallet, right?
Yeah, probably. I think I have separate commentary for that. I just think, you're never going to be able to compete with the network effects of X. So like, it's just, I've always been bearish on Farcaster for that reason. But yes, like broadly, the industry is going towards trying to own the user as much as possible, right? Like if you own that, you can backfill basically everything else. So if you can sit there and you can capture the user, just like, Phantom is the best example of this, right? Phantom has a captured audience and they're backfilling an entire perps exchange and just like scraping 1% on top of it, going to and from Hyperliquid, right? They didn't have to do any of the Hyperliquid stuff. And you know what? If a competitor comes up for Hyperliquid, you know what happens? Nothing. Like Phantom users still use Phantom and they just direct flow to this new thing. Yeah. So if you own the user relationship, you ultimately own the bigger piece of the pie. And everyone in this industry is trying to get closer and closer to that. And that includes chains, that include like, it's the exact same reason that Solana is trying to build a phone, right? They're trying to own the user at that instance, and then they're trying to, on the back end, route that to whatever they want, which would be Solana and fees and everything else. So I think I'm bullish on the vehicle, but it's a very, very competitive market, and it's kind of opaque right now.
I like it. I don't disagree with anything you just said. I think the wallet token, I mean, to be fair, I just found a different tweet. We don't need to necessarily pull it up. But they said what they will be doing, and this is Rainbow. They will be, where is it? They said they're going to have real-time rewards. I can't find it now. I've got so many tabs open. They said they're going to have real-time rewards backed by revenue. So I'm going to try and find the number exactly, but if anyone wants to check it, it's in their it's on their main page, so you can go and check there. Oh, I want to move on because there's a few others since we're doing a little ICO tour this morning. And Brett, I even forgot one, a different one as well. So we got another one to get to. This one we're pulling up now is not an ICO. It is a pre-deposit vault. I kind of like this, Brett. We haven't done this, but we're doing like a little a tour of the ICOs or stablecoin opportunities. But we need to do this every now and again. Max, I've just stuck this one in the chat now. So what we're looking at here, when Max is going to pull this one up in a second, this one is called Daylight Energy. Now, this one is not an ICO. This is a pre-deposit vault. And what they're going to do, so Daylight Energy, actually, just to give you a little bit of context, is backed by A16Z and Framework, both, good, reputable VCs. They are opening their vault on December the 16th. So this is actually next week, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And it's a pre-deposit vault. And what they're doing is it's going to mark the beginning of the Grid Games, DeFi's campaign to scale ecosystem liquidity to support capital markets for decentralized energy. There's a whole article diving into what that means and how you want to read it further. And we don't have time to look into all of the details today. But in terms of some of the mechanics, vault deposits will be deployed to Plasma, where K3 Capital will manage a diversified yield strategy. I think this is important to note because if you want to know what people are doing with your stablecoins, so here it's actually being actively managed. In addition, 1 million XPL and boosted Grid Games points and multipliers can be earned by participants in the pre-deposit. The pre-deposit will accept USDS and USDT, and will have an initial cap of 50 million. Deposits will be locked for 2 months, during which time K3 Capital will bootstrap DeFi ecosystem liquidity with the vault. And so you're kind of earning daylight points as well as some yield here, I think. And then you've got you're locking up for 2 months. What I like here, Brad. I don't know what you think. I like seeing the 50 mil cap. 50 mil in this space is not that high. And so my suspicion would be for something like this will get filled quite quickly. And for two things that people might be thinking. One, it's on Plasma. I see no issue with doing things on Plasma. I know it's not as high as it was before, but to me, that's not a concern in any way. And I think there's a few other narratives, and maybe we'll be talking about one of them later in today's show when we talk about like space exploration. Of course, we're no experts in that. We're also no experts in energy, but you can see the direction the world is going in when the focus is on things like energy, space, rare earths, and things of that nature as we kind of come to terms with the next set of issues the world faces. And it would not surprise me that crypto has to, in coordinating capital, goes towards solving some of those issues. And my instinct would be that they should be maybe more valuable than some of the things in the past, or at least be of interest to people. So that's my quick take here, Brad. Curious for your thoughts on Daylight and this pre-deposit campaign.
Yeah, mine is probably less about Daylight specifically and more about the pre-deposit campaigns.
Sure.
And for me, after our fiasco, I'll deem it, where we had the pre-deposit campaign and people filled it up exceptionally quick, and we just realized it was not the right fit for our ecosystem. I think I'm just kind of generally bearish on anything that has like this imposed, not imposed, but like if you have the caps on there, people are implying that are going to assume that you have some kind of rewards associated to it, which is why you have to have a cap so you can reward the right people with the right stuff. And it's just impossible for people in this industry to see that stuff and go, oh, this is going to be a modest return for a decent little thing to facilitate the need of the thing. They're going to see it and they're going to try to make it a trade, which is what happened to us. And then it kind of self-selects for people who are probably not the best people suited to participate in the actual thing itself, right? To meet the needs that to meet the outcome that you're trying to with what the pre-deposit is, right? This is probably to seed some liquidity in the ecosystem, to get some things going, to like prime the system and just like give people a head start. But the problem is you have people like CBB who see this and go, bro, I'm just going to park stables for a little bit, then fuck off. Right. And that is just people getting in, eating up the whatever APY this actually makes up, and then just like fucking off, like they're not contributing in the right way. So for me and for us, which is why, people may have seen on the timeline, we plan on reopening ours, but we're going to over communicate that MFers, it's literally just to like make sure you guys get some dollars on the other side day one, and there's no rewards associated to it. There's no caps, because if you do a cap, then people are assuming the rewards. Yeah, I'm pretty bearish on these. Bearchain did this. They got a couple $1 trillion. Plasma did it. They were up at $6 billion. Now they're down to like $1 billion in stables. Daylight will do the same. I just think it self-selects for the wrong type of participant.
Fair enough. Definitely a couple of perspectives to go with there. I guess in the newer protocols defense, I think Mega's in a maybe slightly more luxurious position where you can maybe opt for what you want more than maybe other teams, in the sense that these are probably smaller teams. Even though they're reputable and doing well, I think you were in an awesome position where sentiment was so good, and maybe you can be more selective. Whereas if you had to put a gun to their head and these other teams, as like, do you want the money? Are you willing to pay the price of maybe some farmers getting in early? Especially if you think about this environment here, Brad, like I think, Mega in all instances will be fine. But these teams now, and the reason why we're doing this little tour today just quite spontaneously, is because all of these things are competing for your USDC in the next 7 days. Like they're all in aggressive competition with each other. So does it make sense for a team on Plasma doing this new kind of energy thing to, maybe constrain it a little bit, out reward those people and just take the risk? That's a problem that you have to deal with down the line. Will these people stick around? Will they won't? Well, at least for the next few months we're seeded and we can like report that as good news, and we've got that kind of W under the belt, and then you kind of you kick the can down the road. And I completely know what you mean, that teams have done that before and then it just delays the inevitable thing. But maybe founders are trying to back themselves and like, look, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later, even if there's so many examples where that's been a very hard thing. Do you have any reflections there, Brad, before I've got 2 more to touch on today?
Yeah, my final sign off would be, it's not the sexy thing, or it may not be the most obvious thing for people to do, but like, man, building up ecosystems and building up projects and building up liquidity just frankly takes time. So I think it's just accepting that it does not all have to happen day 0, and like allow the thing to naturally grow on its own is the hard path, because it is not the flashy path, but I think it is ultimately the right path. So even for these guys, like they do this, people come in, they farm, they're probably going to get a decent size of the tokens from the emissions or whatever, and then they're going to leave, man. Like it's not the same stuff. So like maybe maybe that's a marketing expense, and that's how you kind of view this. And if you allocate the right amount of tokens to it, maybe that works out. But otherwise, I don't think it's actually productive capital that ever forms for this kind of stuff. And if you're trying to get it to line up for something on the other side, which is a DeFi position, it's a whatever, I frankly think you just need to be more direct and just like incentivize that specific thing, as opposed to like the incentivizing just getting in position to do the thing. I don't know. I don't think it's a good move.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, my line of thinking is that it's okay, but the reason why it's okay is you need to get people through the door. Once you get people through the door, in the end, you'll be for that capital to stay. The yield needs to compete with alternative yields, right? And I have no idea what the yield is on decentralized energy right now. If I'm being completely honest, like I don't know what type of return I'm going to get. Just like, how with USD AI, it was like, it's it's GPU backed loans. And I don't know what the market is for that. But if it turns out that, okay, you can actually get this, forgetting the incentives, because obviously there's incentives to get you through the door, but forgetting the incentives moving forward, maybe there is an interesting market for that. And if you can get, I don't know, 12%, something that's a bit higher than, I don't know, what you can lend on Felix and Hyperliquid for 7%, because it's obviously going to have to be higher than what you can just lend normally in a Morpho fork or an Aave fork, which people would consider to be far less risky than a GPU backed loan. So yeah, you're going to have to be higher than that. And if you can be, then maybe it's interesting. But if you can't, this is my concern with some of the RWAs coming on chain and like bringing that type of yield on chain. It's like, well, if it's not high enough, then you're not going to, you're all in competition with each other. So that number just needs to be strong. Afterwards, there has to be reasons for people to stay there. So I agree with you in that respect. But maybe I'm framing it more positively, where it's like, okay, well, make it worth people to be, make it worth people being there, make the product worth it. Okay, two more, which I want to get to. I'm enjoying this little tour. So me personally, I know Brad, you got some questions around the deposit, but I kind of like this one. But I also want some type of energy exposure. This is obviously not like real energy exposure, like a stock would be, but given that I like crypto a lot, I think I'll try and do this one. Okay, next, Octra. This is the next one. So Max, I'm sharing this one in the chat. Apologies, I should have given it to you a moment before. So we've got two more announced in the last 24 hours. Pretty crazy stuff. So Octra, between December the 18th and 25th, Octra Labs will be conducting a public sale of OCT, the native utility token of the Octra network. The ICO will be held using Sonar, which is obviously Kobe's public sale platform via Echo. Registration for the sale is open now. So if you want to participate in this one, you can do right now. You can do it by the link below. 10% of the token supply are allocated to the sale at a fixed price of 20 cents, implying a fully diluted valuation of $200 million. So this is one's at 200 mil. All tokens are sold unlocked and will be distributed encrypted. So this is the point of Octra. Octra is a general purpose encrypted compute network that can be used both as a standalone L1 and integrated into existing ecosystems as a decentralized and stateful coprocessor. It utilizes a 100% proprietary, fully homomorphic encryption. Gosh, they really don't want us to understand what this thing does. Scheme built around hypergraphs that allows the network of nodes to compute on encrypted data without decrypting it. Brad, going to lean on you a little bit here. You're going to tell me what a fully homomorphic encryption is? Is that what you're going to do right now?
Yeah. So it's
you actually are.
People often conflate it with ZK, where ZK is like, I do something, I don't reveal what the thing is, and you get the output, and you can just like by way of knowing the output, you can know like that it was actually true. Fully homomorphic encryption is paired with that, and to say that you can actually do some of the stuff that is fully private, but you can also understand and program against the private inputs, right? So as an example, right, like in a fully ZK world where I say the answer is 9, right? And you go, oh, well, the inputs could have been 5 plus 4, could have been, 4 plus 5, could have been 8 plus 1. Like you don't actually know, which means it's very hard to program against that because you don't know the inputs. It could be, A plus B, or it could be A plus C and B and Z. Like you just don't know. But know the output is 9, and you can prove the output is 9. In fully homomorphic encryption, you actually have the ability to program against it's going to be A plus C. It's going to be A plus C minus D, or whatever, right? So it is just a new form of encryption that allows you to actually be able to program against it. The problem is it's a little novel right now, so you don't have as much advances on it to be able to implement it in real world scenarios. It's very costly.
Brad, you know what? Every now and again now, I think you're telling me this is further away from reality, better. The further it is away from reality, from this kind of speculative perspective, the better. The more complicated the fully homomorphic encryption is, the better. Especially as Zika. I mean, look, I think there's going to be all kinds of things raising on a privacy angle now, right? And those things will probably catch a bid for a variety of ways. I do not profess to have the technical expertise to know about this enough to say if it's a bid or not. I do like the fact that if it's an L1, which it is, it's jumping on it's not jumping on necessarily. I don't know how long they've been building for. This is new to me, but it sounds very much in line with the privacy focus that has captured the space's attention recently. And to be honest, purely based on instinct and of doing this a long time, not knowing anything specifically about that industry, 200 sounds pretty decent for me. 200 mil FDV for that specific type of thing. So I don't know. For that one, that's like I need to read more on this one. But instinct, not bad at all. Do you have a specific thought there, Brad?
Not really. Like for me, like the number for a chain sounds decent, but then you start looking at the field for L1s and L2s these days.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's very top weighted, as you would expect. There's a big power law playing out, and then you start. I think we're going to continue to start seeing other chains fall away unless you have some other kind of actual revenue generating process underneath. So like for me, it's sexy, like because it's using the FHE, but like it's so far away, and I don't think narratively enough. It's like, yeah, it just doesn't appeal to me. Not at these numbers. No.
Okay.
Tough road to hoe. I said that already once today, so people are going to start bagging on me in chat. Like, what was the word that I kept using? Ephemeral. So, ephemeral road to hoe.
Right, yeah, got it. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so those are very fair points, and maybe the final point I'd make is I don't know anything about this team. I really, really like backing teams who I've done some research on and a founder or co-founders that I figured out in some way. I need to do that for this if I was going to participate. Okay, last one. And I know we've only got 50 minutes left. We will get to the headlines in a minute, but I'm kind of enjoying this little tour that we're going on. So the tour has gone to now Legion. Legion and Sport.Fun. Remember, Football.Fun first has kind of evolved into Sport.Fun as they added not only, well, it started with football, as in the original football, i.e., the world football, and then they added the American football, and therefore they're now Sport.Fun. Looks like here, I'm just trying to see if we know any specific details. They said since launching in August 2024, the platform has proven exceptional product market fit, $90 million in trading volume, $10 million in revenue, actual revenue earned, not TVL. That's pretty impressive. $30 million in user deposits from 20,000 unique paying users, 71% week one retention among paying users. And it's the #1 consumer app on Base by revenue during Q3. I would say they obviously had a very explosive start, and there was that maybe 7-day period where even people who didn't know anything about football piled into Football.Fun to kind of participate and speculate, and maybe some of that led to its exceptionally high ranking. But when I was using it and playing with it, and I've spoken to the team a while ago, it looked and felt good, and they were kind of iterating on some of the issues that they did experience, but I thought it was very nicely built with an excellent idea. So trying to see if we know any details here for this one. There's a long article written, and but maybe just the thesis being shared is that the upcoming token sale will happen simultaneously on Legion and Kraken launch. So Legion and Kraken have kind of partnered up a couple of times now on these launches, and prospective purchasers can apply to participate on either platform or both. Unlike first come, first serve sales, your allocation will be based on merit, not mouse clicking speed. On Kraken, token allocations for the launch sale will be made according to Kraken's own merit-based criteria, whereas the Sport.Fun team will assign remaining allocations to purchases based on their Legion score and other selection criteria that will soon be published. So I can't see a number here. Maybe there's going to be more numbers given. It says learn more about Sport.Fun on the Legion site. Classically, token sale is not available for UK people, so apologies for my fellow Brits out there. You cannot participate. But aside from that, Bread, look, we don't have the numbers here. Maybe they're on the Legion site, which I haven't clicked through to, but some impressive numbers, right, from Football.Fun. #1 consumer app on Base in Q3. I don't know if you ever experimented with it in general, but what did you think of maybe just some of those numbers and metrics? And have you heard of the team at all? And what did you think?
I heard about them, like them. My critique is going to be the ticker. I'm the ticker czar, and I am very critical of people selecting their tickers. I think XPL was a dumb ticker. I now think Fun is the dumb ticker for these guys. They should have done Sport.
Is a bad ticker.
I think because it's a pump funds. Pump fun is the thing, right?
So like, it should be Sport.
I think it should be Sport. Like they're not like Fun does not, in my mind, make me think sports. Like I mean, it does. I like sports, but like it does not tie back to your actual product in any way. So I think they could have done. They had to do the full name too. If they would have done SPRT, Spurt, that also would not work. So it had to be full name, 5 letters, Sport. That's what they had to do.
Okay, I mean, maybe we should just review tickers. Maybe
I would. I'm
the,
very critical of tickers in this space.
the next version of this tour will just be a pure ticker review where we'll do a 5 stars, and try to figure out how many stars they get just for the name. Okay, so just checking the YouTube comments. Hope that was helpful in Senzi. I know you were shouting out, asking about the Football.Fun one via Legion. So that's that. So the reason why I wanted to go through that is just to really almost think through it myself. It's like a live quick research before I double click on that stuff post show. But there's a lot of things in competition for your stablecoins right now. And I think the thing that I put in Telegram chat this morning, as we were kind of coming through, as the feed of news was coming through with all of these raises of different types were coming, it was something like, it's the time to be discerning and it's the time to read. Like, I think you could potentially lose a lot of money in this period of time as everyone thinks that they can sell a couple of % of their token for a couple of mil or however much money they want to raise. And you've just got to be very diligent, pick the ones specifically that you like based on the valuation, based on the team, based on the unlock schedule, and based on your bullishness for that particular sector. And I think we've discussed some of those aspects in all of the ones that we went on tour with today. And not all of them you can tick all the boxes, right? But you kind of figure out what you're comfortable with, and that's how you allocate based on that risk. So, Brett, any reflections there on that little tour? How do you find that? Any final thoughts before we do like a speed run of the actual headlines?
I'm glad we did it. I'm actually, well, maybe trying to leak some alpha. Like I'm very bullish on trying to get an ICO platform on Mega. I think it's very conducive to what we're trying to do, and I think you need capital formation on chain for people to be able to participate in, whether it's permissionless or not. So whether you like the Futarchy stuff or some of these other platforms like the Echoes, the Sonars, the whatever. I just think it's very important for these ecosystems to have capital formation on there and to give teams above or below the like top tier the ability to raise from the community in the right way. Like I would say launchpads is like the lowest level, right? You literally just like TLDR launch a shitter, things people can buy it, you can try to make money on fees or whatever. Above that, you should have some kind of ICO, Futarchy, whatever platform for people that are maybe not large enough to do a full-fledged release. And then you have the suite above that, like what was it? So I guess it would go Launchpad, then like Echo, and then Sonar, and then you have like formal raises on like Coinbase, and it just kind of keeps going up the tiers. But I think you should service all of these cohorts. So I'm glad we're talking about it. I think it's the future. I think we'll continue to see this.
Okay. The reason why I absolutely agree with you is because even in a scenario where some of these become unprofitable, you just need to make the valuation better. And so like tokens can fail and not do well, but just take XBL as an example. Plasma raised at a $500 million FDV. Even now, where with the token down to, I don't know, around 2 bill, that's still a clean 4x on the initial thing. So if something doesn't go well, or if something goes well and then it turns around, I think the thing you have to watch out for is teams getting too greedy, trying to sell at too high a valuation, not allowing enough room for people to be profitable. But if it doesn't go well, and this is your point about the longevity of ICOs and why it's important to maybe have one on your platform and in your ecosystem, because you can just make the valuation better, like just make it more attractive so that an investor is tempted to come in. And there should be a number at which that is the case. And if you burn investors too much, then yeah, they're going to pull away, but you can pull them back with just a better number. So you just got to be flexible. So I agree with you because you can play with the numbers ultimately as the founders. Right. We've got 8 minutes left to the show today because we wanted to go on this tour on the ICOs. So that was important because everyone is in competition for your stable coins. So what I really want to do, I'm just going to say the final headline first here, which is that silver's reached an all-time high. I'm not going to go into it in any more detail because these commodities are ripping. We're going to focus on ETH being up, and some of this SpaceX news, which I think is kind of intriguing. So first headline today is ETH is up 7% ahead of the FOMC. ETH is up, it's outperforming all the other majors right now. It's been reported that Tom Lee, our favorite Ethereum bull, bought another $430 million in ETH over the last week. This tweet from Ryan Adams sharing that the guy is absolutely relentless. I still believe that he is down on his overall ETH buys, but he still has a significant amount of capital to deploy when he deems necessary. So ETH is up on Tom Lee's buys. The rest of the market is up as well, although ETH is outperforming. A good question someone asked in our Telegram yesterday, I can't remember the name. The question was, if ETH is only being supported by Tom Lee, this kind of goes against how some of us, we have been talking about it and other people have been talking about it. If ETH is only going up because of Tom Lee, then why is the rest, why is it just still basically tracking the rest of the market? Because when Bitcoin goes up, ETH goes up. When Bitcoin goes down, ETH goes down. And so it can't only be this one individual who's distorting ETH specifically because he's only buying one asset. So I thought that was an interesting question to think through. And along with some other questions and some conversations, we had a modern market breakfast here in Dubai yesterday and talked with some very smart people. I'm coming around to the idea that maybe we're low enough in sentiment for this to be a bottom forming period now. I don't know when it will be. I don't know if we do a V-shaped recovery or anything. I've been pretty much against that idea for a while, but look, ultimately I'm as uncertain as the next person, but I'm just far more open to the idea that maybe it's not as bad as I had initially thought in that regard. But the final take I wanted to put here, and maybe this is why the market in general is a bit buoyant, is the FOMC. I actually don't think this is why it is, because it's too close to the event. FOMC is today. Polymarket potential rate cut is almost guaranteed on Polymarket at 97% chance for a 25 basis points cut today. So that seems to be like a foregone conclusion. We will end up cutting, it seems like. And so the market can continue to hope that there will be further cuts in the future. And the thing that I'm looking for now in the future is probably Powell stepping away. It feels like we're going to be on this rate cut trajectory. Powell stepping away, I think, will be a big thing. Being replaced with Hassett is the likely scenario, who is a big crypto bull. And that gives me a nice story to be able to get more bullish behind. I know that's been out there for a while. I know that's existed already. But that's where my thinking is at the moment. Brad, coming to you here. That's the end of my ramblings on ETH and the FOMC. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on Tom Lee? Anything to add here?
I agree with you on the Tom Lee stuff. It's people are trying to backfill a reason or a narrative or whatever. Like, yes, he is buying a lot, but dude, it's a large asset. He's not moving it a ton. And I will say that my position on ETH is like, I don't think it's going to be able to play the same game as Bitcoin. Like, frankly, like not until Bitcoin dies, which is, I still think is on the table in, 10 years. But until then, I think Ethereum is just going to continuously get matched up against these P&E chains, which is increasingly becoming all chains. Like if you're a smart contract platform, you're going to continue to have to play the game against a Solana or whatever. And it's just going to be very hard to pull yourself away from that narrative. Whereas Bitcoin is so disjointed from it, it just doesn't have to play the game. It's the special snowflake that doesn't have to fight it for now until things get serious, it will get serious in about 10 years. But I'm not willing to bet on that today. So that's my general position there. There was something else I wanted to say. You were talking about the end of the year. I'm actually FOMC plays out today. Cool. I think prices are so depressed over the last 6 months, or where people could have established their positions. I think the bleeding is going to continue for the next few weeks because we are already so depressed that people are going to start tax loss harvesting, right? Because there's no
Yep.
the rule
Point.
for wash trading does not apply to crypto. It's still there. So people are incentivized to sell their same position right now and capture that loss that they maybe have bought BTC at 120, 110, 100. Like it's all losses now. So they're going to try to capture as much as they can and then just a little buy back either a day later, a week later, whatever, maybe do it in the new year to establish a new position. So I would say we're probably going to see the bleeding continue and then do a little up only in the new year.
Okay. Interesting. I'm open to that. In fact, I think there's a reasonable chance of that actually. So I'm not sure about the exact US timeframes for the selling, but I think you've got to be aware of those accounting.
I mean, it's literally the end of the year. So
Yeah.
like there's the fiscal year and then there's the actual year. And like for us, it's the year as goes into the new year, the cutoff is New Year's Day. So like you have to sell before then to capture the loss and then you can reestablish your position.
Got it. Makes sense. Good to have that on our radar. Final take for today, Brad. Got some interesting news coming out of SpaceX. I think it's really important to just get a sense of what is happening here, a little summary, and then any further thoughts we've got. I know one of our tweets here shares some of the space-related stocks really mooning. Just wanted to dwell on that for a second.
Yeah, I'm feeling for Max here. You gave him a link, just like you did to me. That is behind a paywall. So sorry about that, Max. Bloomberg ain't cool. So the headline is that SpaceX is pursuing a 2026 IPO, raising far above $30 billion. They're actually going for the IPO at $1.5 trillion is the valuation, which is obviously pretty high. It'll actually be the largest IPO of all time, which just beats out Saudi Aramco's public listing in 2019, which was for roughly 29 billion. And then the other side news is just like in traditional fashion, whenever a category is trying to be repriced like this, everything jumps around it. So there were actually, if you look at other stocks that are in the same category, they're jumping around 27% basically across the board, just because people are playing the beta to the alpha and SpaceX is seen as the alpha. The thing that I have about this is I'm trying to understand or think about how many people were loosely trying to price some of this stuff into Tesla's valuation. Right, like some people are thinking, hey, if I have Tesla, I have a chunk of SpaceX, I have a chunk of the what was the solar farming that they did? They like Tesla was an index play on all of Elon Musk's shit, but SpaceX has continuously been pulled away more and more, and now it'll be a wholly separate entity here, at least in my opinion. Like as a investor, I think that just like that was the only way to get public exposure to all this stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla sell off a little bit, but now Tesla is able to ride the robotics wave. So maybe it's got enough on its own to be able to stand up.
Elon, you buy Tesla.
Exactly.
Now you've got two options, and it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone can just double the amount. They're going to have to choose how do I get my Elon exposure now. So I think that's a really good point. I could see that happening. But yes, as you said, Tesla's got the robotics angle for the future. There was an incredible, I don't know if it was crazy, whether it was great thinking or just like moonshot thinking. There was a funny clip shared. Maybe it's not even funny. I actually thought it was kind of intelligent, but I saw some people dunking on it. One of the early investors in SpaceX was talking about how real life data centers will, as in on Earth, it's going to sound crazy. On Earth, the data centers will be pointless because what will happen in the future is that all data centers will move to space. A lot of like cooling gets taken care of, energy gets taken care of because you're near the sun and you can leverage the sun. Cooling gets taken care of because of the temperature. So like all of these costs associated with data centers, the humongous spend that's taking place at the moment gets reduced significantly by going into space and building data centers in space. The critique of all of this is that he's just a humongous investor in SpaceX, and so as this SpaceX IPO comes around early next year, you're going to have all kinds of stories created and narratives pushed to really pump the valuation as high as possible on amazing dreams for the future. And maybe, Brett, that's what I mentioned when you said that thing earlier about something being far away. I was like, excellent. The further away and the more ambitious the dream, maybe the better. Now, to be fair, Elon's probably one of the few people that actually then goes and achieves them. But at least in the initial part, like that room for imagination, I think is quite important for kind of price discovery. That's my thought there. Do you have any final reflections, Brad, before we close out?
No, it was a great show. I think we covered a lot of stuff, both in and out of the industry. It was fun.
Good stuff. That was fun. Good stuff, guys. Thanks so much for joining us as always. Appreciate you all in the chat. Thanks to Brad for co-hosting with me as always. Thank you for being with us today. Just a reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. East time, live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple, Spotify, and you can follow along on TikTok as well. We hope you have a wonderful day. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.